Hey, what's poppin', guys? Sizzle here, and today we're taking a look at the FAMAS skins in CS. First off, we have stock, which looks pretty bad. You got like 4 different rusty colors that look absolutely awful, and probably the most wear we've seen on any just skin in general. Not even like a stock skin or anything, just any skin. This looks absolutely awful. The mag looks horrible. This part looks super worn down and bad. The top here looks the same, super worn down bad. The front isn't completely horrible, but it almost looks out of place because it's like actually okay, and the rest of this weapon is so worn down and just awful. Definitely probably the worst stock I think we've seen in CS, and for that exact reason, I'm putting in F tier. I can't think of many reasons you'd use this stock other than, you know, saving money, I guess. Then our first actual skin is the contrast spray. Has a lot of the same issues of the big wear and tear as a lot of the FAMAS skins unfortunately do. For whatever reason, for the FAMAS, they really decided it needs like a shit ton of wear on all the old skins. So that's something that plagues all of them. But this one has another problem of the actual design being pretty shit. The only really notable thing here is that it's kind of bright, so you know it's not stock, and it's a bit more clean than stock because at least it's one consistent color of a bad, rather than like 4 different bad colors coming together in a really bad way. But yeah, I mean, the only thing this really has going for is that it's pretty bright. Otherwise, it looks pretty awful, and I really wouldn't use it that much over stock. Although I would still use this over stock. Don't get me wrong. So for that exact reason, it's a D tier. Stock is pretty bad from FAMAS. Then next up, we have the FAMAS Colony. It's pretty clean. Unfortunately, it's the same kind of wear and tear. But the simple one color kind of design to this entire skin is a lot nicer and clean than the contrast spray. And honestly, the color they chose here, even though it's not great, it goes a lot better with the wear and tear that you can see on this weapon. So for that reason, honestly, it's a solid C tier. Probably a high C tier skin, if I had to say so myself. Then next up, we have the FAMAS Night Bore, which is pretty recent from the Norse collection. Same issues of a lot of wear and tear, even though this is pretty recent. And the design is kind of shit. It's not very clean. The color's okay, but they're just really dull. The skin is super dull. And I don't really like dull skins because they're not noticeable, right? When you have a dull skin, it's kind of hard to look at, you know, to actually see it, even if it has like a cool design or something. Like if a dragon lore was like 10 times duller, it would look pretty awful, I would think. And that's kind of the problem here. I think the design's actually somewhat okay, the colors are pretty good, but the whole thing is super dull and still has the issues of wear and tear. Honestly, for me, this one's probably a high D tier. Yeah, it's definitely a D tier. That's nothing crazy. I wouldn't really go around using it. Then next up, we have the FAMAS Faulty Wiring. This one has a really nice color scheme to go with the wear and tear. You can kind of see it there if you really look hard at it, but without that, you actually just mainly see the design, which isn't really great either. Honestly, I don't know. This is kind of shiny. It's supposed to show, I guess, wiring and circuitry or whatever all around the skin for some reason, but it ends up just being kind of a shiny metal, like super cluttered skin. Honestly, I wouldn't even use this over stock. I think it kind of looks bad. Sorry to whoever spent the time designing this whole thing, but yeah, I don't really like the look of it. I think it's this one, and I'm gonna put it at the bottom of F tier. I can't really see a reason to use this. Then next up, we have the FAMAS Cyano Spatter. Very unique coloring. I think I've seen this pattern once or twice before, but I can't remember where. But the color scheme is very nice. Nice colors of blue and white that go together. Honestly, if it wasn't for the wear and tear, I'd say this is probably a B tier skin, but with the wear and tear, it does distract from the skin a little bit. Although with how bad a lot of these FAMAS skins have been so far, I'm going to actually put this in B tier for now, but I might move it down to C tier later, depending on how good things are. But yeah, this is just a solid pattern with a very solid color scheme. Probably one of the better color schemes on most skins. I really do like these colors combined. It reminds me of like the winter. Then next up, we have the Kali Camo. It's your classic camo skin, but with like, I don't know, it's a sand camo, I guess, with a lot of wear and tear, which kind of works well with the camo here, I'm not gonna lie. But that still doesn't mean I like camo skins all of a sudden. I'm still not a fan of camo skins, so I'm gonna put it in D tier. I just don't like camos. For people that do, this is pretty decent. Then next up, we have the Teardown. which, yeah. Interesting colors of blue and red across the thing, with like a chain link fence in front of it for some reason, and then a bunch of wear and tear that kind of detracts a lot from the skin. The colors are somewhat nice, but yet again pretty dull. Unlike the other dull skin though, they're not too dull to the point where you can't really see things. I don't remember seeing this one that often, I'm not really too sure why. Yeah, I mean it's okay colors with okay design, but a lot of kind of wear and tear to it. I'd say it's probably a C tier. Can't go too wrong using this one. Then next up we have the FAMAS Sundown. Yeah. This is like that palm skin, but with different coloring. Yet again, it's super dull, a lot of wear and tear. I do kind of like how the palm tree leaf kind of ended up back here, and the one in the front almost looks like kind of like a mohawk in the front here. But otherwise, yeah, it's just dull, damaged, and kind of looks like shit. I wouldn't really use this one. I think it's expensive because of the collection it's from, whatever. Maybe it's better than stock, I guess, but not by much. It's still very much an F tier FAMAS skin to me. Then next up, we have the FAMAS Dark Water, which is, yeah, got some kind of camo design to it that you have a hard time seeing, but it's basically just a super shiny metal FAMAS with a lot of wear and tear. Basically, this is what stock probably should have looked like, honestly, without the design in the back. I think it actually would look really clean if it didn't have the random, like, camo design thing all over it. If it was just a super shiny FAMAS, it'd be like kind of the USPS stainless, where it's just super clean and nice, but because of that design, it gets knocked down quite a lot to the point where I think it's probably a high D tier skin. Basically what stock should have been all along. Then next up, we have the FAMAS Doom Kitty, which, yeah, it's got a pretty dull design, but it does have some very noticeable kind of pop-out skulls here and there that really stick out from the design, and if you get them in the right places, like if you get the stuff, if this is a pattern-based skin, I don't actually know if it is, but if it is, and you can get stuff like this, and that kind of up on the front here, and have them be front and center, it'll actually draw your attention to the design of this thing. And the actual design of, I guess these are probably cat skulls, because, you know, Doom Kitty. It's pretty cool. It's generally a very nice, solid single color throughout the skin, kind of like the colony, but with an actual design to it. And because it's so dark, it almost matches perfectly the color of the scratches, so it's really just solid. I'd say definitely a high C tier skin for sure. I can't really give it anything past that. I think I messed up what I put where, because I think this is the Doom Kitty here, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna pretend like this is the Doom Kitty and then this is the other thing, so I'm gonna put that there and put the Doom Kitty at the top of C tier. Then next up, we have the FAMAS Hexan, which, yeah, kind of exists. Yet again, super dull. This time the design isn't too horrible, but it's basically a darker version of the colony, but also with the hexagon pattern design or whatever. It looks pretty bad. I wouldn't really use this one too much. It's not completely horrible, like it's still usable, but it's basically just an inferior version of the thing we had in C tier. That being said, I think it's still a low C tier because it's still better than what we have in D tier, but it's not very good. It's like I could see. I wouldn't personally ever use this, but it's not the worst thing you could have equipped, so I'd honestly just say it's a C tier because of how bad most of the other FAMAS skins are. Then we have FAMAS Survivor Z. I think I owned one of these for a while. Not particularly sure why. I think I just got it as a gift from someone, so I kept it for a bit. But yeah, this is the first one that's just kind of nice. Generally clean design across the board. You can see what they're going for. They want like a super scratched up, like zombie apocalypse style weapon, and that's kind of what you get here. You have that nice blood red coloring, where it's like, zombies and stuff, and then the scratch marks, like the zombie clawing at this or whatever. And it's just super bright, super clean. It's the first one where I can't really see the damage down here. And it's very bright, vibrant, just nice design across the board. Everything fits together really well, and good colors, good design. Pretty hard to go wrong with this one. I'd say it's a very solid A tier, possibly S tier with how bad these FAMAS skins have been, but I think there's one or two good ones that will take that spot later, I hope. But I'm not too sure, because I don't see too many FAMASes in CS. Then we have the FAMAS Macabre, I think it's called. This one's actually okay. It's it has wear and tear, but it's got some weird thing where it turns it yellow or whatever, and it is just around the rim and like the edges, and it kind of fits with the design. The design being kind of skulls in a like cracked desert, which just looks pretty solid. The skulls are, kind of both hidden and visible, so it kind of draws your attention to it, and the rest of the skin has a very nice color scheme, very consistent kind of design, and just looks pretty nice. Uh, it mainly is helped by the fact that the wear and tear kind of changes color for some reason to fit better with the skin. And yeah, I mean, this one looks pretty good. I'd say it's probably a B tier. It's very solid. Not as good as that light blue one in B tier, but it's definitely a very solid skin. Then next up, we have the FAMAS Crypsis, I think is how you say this. Another super dull skin, yet again, has a lot of wear and tear, and this time it's very noticeable. Kind of takes away from the design in the back. But that being said, the design in the back isn't exactly great. It's like just a tree, or no, these are like leaf bugs or something. You can kind of see the bugs going across with leaves coming out. I haven't ever really seen this in game, I don't think, which I kind of understand why. It's just a super dull, bland-looking skin at the end of the day, and the wear and tear does kind of affect this one a lot. I'd honestly put it under the Cali camo in D tier. I wouldn't really use this one ever myself. Then next up, we have the FAMAS Decommissioned. I think this is what I have right now because it was just super cheap. But yeah, it's super cheap, super clean. It's just kind of like a rusty, but very clean rusty FAMAS. You have, I guess, this stuff in the back here that you never see, but what you mainly see is just the general clean design in the front. It's just clean. It's nothing crazy. It's literally just like a rusty FAMAS, but if it wasn't like horribly battle scarred or whatever. This one really just scores a lot of points in cleanliness, especially compared to the other skins, because you don't really notice any wear or tear on it, and it just looks okay. I'd say it's probably just a middle of the path kind of B tier type of skin. Pretty hard to go wrong with this one, but very easily to not like go super right. It's not like an amazing skin, but I don't think anyone can call this skin bad inherently. Then we have the Meow 36, our final blue. I've literally never seen this one, but I guess it's because it's super fresh. I like this. This reminds me of like the Halo Master Chief coloring scheme. That's exactly what this looks like to me. The design, the colors, everything remind me of that. You have a cool little Meow weapons thing up here, and then 36 on the back. Very simple. It's really just like a single color with, I guess, like a bunch of, I don't know if it's wear or tear or what you call this, but like stains, I guess. But yeah, it's got a very nice, simple color scheme across the weapon that works really well. Like I said, kind of like Halo Master Chief type of vibe. This reminds me of Master Chief Collection, whatever. It looks clean. I mean, there's not much you can say bad about this one. I think it's a very solid A tier as well. If you like this one, you're in the right here. Right? This is a great skin. Then we have a really classic one, the FAMAS Spitfire. And I can actually understand why, because so many of the other FAMAS skins, especially the old ones, are awful. But this is actually one of the first FAMAS skins, because it's in the Alpha collection. If not the first, I always forget what collection came first. I think Alpha might be it. I might be wrong on that. Baggage or something, I don't know. But either way, really old skin, but just very simple, very good, right? It's basically the colony with a better color, because it's a darker color, so the kind of scarring looks less bad. And then just cool little design at the front, right? It's like a evil monster with like its eye, and or maybe even like a dragon, I guess. Depends on how you think about it. You could really think about this in a few different ways, but basically you have the mouth here, the eye there, and it's kind of spitting out fire in the front. Very simple, but since you mainly just see this front like half of the gun in game, you're just seeing a pretty solid skin. I mean, like I'm honestly surprised they had something so good so early in the game. It's solid. It's really hard to go wrong with this one as well. Pretty solid. Probably, I do really like that blue color scheme. It kind of takes over for me for that reason, but I could totally see people putting this a bit higher in B tier. But yeah, definitely a very solid B tier pick. You can't go too wrong with this one either. Then we have the FAMAS Sticks, which, yeah, it's like the contaminated design or whatever, but with a much better color scheme. Because instead of the usual toxic waste kind of coloring, you just have like blood, right? You have like a bunch of skulls with bloody bones and a bloody handle and like blood around the skulls and stuff. and it just looks like, mass grave or something. I don't know. It's pretty cool design, pretty cool idea, very solid coloring. I mean, there's a beautiful color of red they used on the main part of the weapon. The handle in the back didn't get the best color of red, but they got a really solid one. I think it's the same color used on the MP9 Hot Rod. It's good. I mean, solid design, decent coloring, pretty hard to go wrong with this one as well. I'd say it's probably an A tier. I'm gonna move the other two up to S tier for now, just in case nothing better comes along, because those two are kind of right now in like a tier of their own. And I think it's important to separate this skin from those, because this one's just very, very solid, really hard to go wrong with. The other two are like picks, like those are the skins you want. Then we get the FAMAS Prime Conspiracy. Unfortunately, this is this is both like a cool and sucky skin, right? Yeah, first you get the cool hollow effect thing that we don't see on too many skins, so that's obviously really sick. I always love when skins do shit like this. Problem is, the design of this is awful. I don't know what I'm looking at, but it does not look good. The colors never really look good other than maybe the blue and orange variant. But I don't know which one you normally see. Like this version looks kind of bad. The blue and orange version looks okay for the hollow effect. But either way, it's just a super cluttered design, and it also has a lot of wear and tear to it, which is kind of unfortunate. It ruins whatever the skin had in potential is completely ruined by the fact that, about half of the part that you're gonna see is gonna just be torn the fuck up. I like the hollow effect, but that's all I can really say. I'm gonna say it's a low C tier. I wouldn't use it over most of the stuff in C tier, unfortunately. I really do want to like this one though, but I just can't. Then we have the FAMAS Pulse. Yet again, really classic skin. I always saw people using this, and I can kind of see why. The wear and tear is there, but not super noticeable, surprisingly. Like, I don't know how it's kind of being covered up, because the wear and tear colors do not match the rest of it here. But otherwise, it's a nice pink and black, or pink, purple, and black kind of FAMAS. Solid, like, fragmenting design, I think it's called. And yeah, I mean, it just looks good. It's got good colors, solid design, nice and vibrant, but also kind of nice and dark in the parts that are black. Very clean finish across the board, especially for how old this is. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? It's a beautiful skin. Probably actually above the Strix or whatever it's called in A tier. Very well deserving of its placement all the way up in A tier. Then we have the FAMAS Sergeant, which, yeah, bland, clean skin. It doesn't have the same kind of the one other the super clean skin like the decommission or whatever. I really like because it was clean and just solid looking. This one's like clean and kind of iffy looking, like kind of bad honestly if I look at it a bit more. It's basically a cleaner version of the colony, but with multiple colors instead of one. And honestly, I prefer the colony to this, but this is like right around the colony's kind of placement. It's a cleaner colony, but with a worse kind of design to it. Just a solid C tier, I guess. Not like the worst, but definitely not great. Then we have the FAMAS Neural Net, which exists. It's a super yellow skin with a lot of damage to it. It has some really jank, weird design to it, with a bunch of just random like shapes all over the place. But yeah, I mean it's super bright. I guess you'll notice the yellow right away. But it also looks super dirty because first off there's the scratches all over the place. Second off, the design is super bad looking and random. I don't know. I mean it's cool that it's yellow, but the actual design is kind of shit. I'll probably just put it like low C tier. It's nothing just for the yellow coloring because yellow's a nice color. That's about all there is to it. Then we have the FAMAS Valence. Basically, this is the standard, just super clean, nice skin. It's got some interesting design to it. It's not particularly amazing, but it definitely isn't bad. I don't think anyone would call what we're looking at bad in terms of design. The colors are great, right? The gray, different colors of gray, orange, and I guess a bit of red, depending on how you think red is, when orange becomes red or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just a clean skin, nice colors, okay design, just a solid, solid skin that you can't go too wrong with. Probably just directly above the decommission for me, but actually kind of below the Spitfire. Then next up, we have the FAMAS XZ Spectron. I've literally never heard of this skin in my life, but this is kind of cool. You got a nice, really glowy red dot at the top, a general black finish, and these nice kind of colored stripes come through the middle. It's just kind of one of those futuristic, like super clean, just looking skins. It's generally black, which is a nice color to have as a base. Like the AK slate is really nice for the same reason. And the glowing red's cool. The general use of red for the most part is really nice. Black and red go together really well. The stripes, I don't know if they add to it or not, but they look okay being there. This is just a pretty solid skin. Probably a high B tier. I can't really put it at the same level of the stuff that we have in A and S tier, but it's really, really close to being there. Really clean skin. I could see why if some people have this as like their best skin, I could totally see why. Then we have the FAMAS Meltdown, which I'm very familiar with because it was used in a lot of trade-ups for the Glock Emerald. This is like a better yellow skin than the other one. It's a little bit shiny, but in the right way. Like, I normally am not the biggest fan of shiny skins, but this one shines in a nice way, I feel. I really like the kind of, I don't know, vibrance you get from the lighting or whatever. And it's still super, like, condensed and almost random. Well, sorry, it's super condensed. I don't think it's random. I think that's what I like about this over the other yellow skin. The pattern is not amazing, don't get me wrong, it's just a bunch of nuclear symbols and they randomly change colors in between. But they are consistent, and that level of consistency kind of works in this thing's favor. Now, it's not amazing, it still has a ton of damage you can see all over the front here. And it still looks super scratched up and just kind of jank, but it is very just vibrant, right? It's a super vibrant skin, very nice color to it. Probably just a solid B tier, maybe about the balance. I don't know. I might be giving these skins too much credit because the B tier is kind of not all that great. They're just like the B tier is what C tier skins normally would be, but with the skins we started off with, I think I put stuff a bit higher than I should have. Anyway, next up we have the FAMAS after image, which yeah, it's got kind of interesting design. Okay colors, nothing crazy, but a lot of damage that ruins whatever design is going on. And despite having what should be really vibrant colors, this thing kind of looks dull to me. Maybe that's just me, but that's kind of my thoughts there. Honestly, I think it's just one of those low C tier skins, possibly even D tier if I was being more honest. Then next up we have the FAMAS Jin. Jin, I don't know how you actually say it. But yeah, simple black coloring for the most part, and then a kind of cool looking design on the back that you'll never see, and on the front, it's like an okay design. Yeah, just pretty clean, pretty decent design, nothing crazy. I'd still prefer the actual real black skin over this one, which I guess I'll move up to A tier at this point. But this is still a solid skin, not too bad. Then we have the FAMAS Mech Industries. Yeah, the mech industry is normally known for having a nice white finish to it, but this almost looks like grayish. It's like there's some dust on top of the white finish for it. And then it has tan, which isn't a great color to go with white here, and it detracts a lot from the skin. And this color of like reddish orange does not go too well with the rest of the skin. I guess if you want a white FAMAS, I don't think you have any real other options. So if that's what you're going for, this is your only pick, and it's not great. It's okay, I mean, it's still clean at least, but I don't know, the colors picked here just kind of don't work together well, I feel, and the design is not amazing. I honestly would put it below the Colony and C tier, myself. And, you know, just to balance things out, I'm gonna move some stuff down the D tier that I think, honestly, you know, belongs there. I think, like, the yellow skin should be there, this should be... Yeah, I think that's about right, a bit better. Maybe I'll readjust stuff toward the end. Anyway, next up we have the FAMAS Eye of Athena. And this is a pretty cool one. Super detailed skin, but not super dull for once. Like it looks like it should be dull, but whoever designed this found a way for it to both be dull and also vibrant. So like your eyes get attracted to this. What I'm trying to say. When I look at this skin, I actually like looking at it. I'm not just like glancing at it and be like, well, you know, if I saw this in game, I wouldn't really look at it. If I saw this in game, I'd be looking at it, right? The eye here is placed really well. Actually, I guess even a part of the weapon, which I didn't realize before. Really draws your eyes into the eye of the owl, or the eye of Athena, I guess. And then you have like this kind of interesting owl just spread out across the weapon, spreading his wings to the left and the right. super detailed, like eyes, a bunch of rings and whatever. And then I don't know what this design is on the bottom, but it works well with the rest of the skin. Just a solid design, solid coloring, very noticeable. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'd say it's a B tier. And I'm gonna actually move stuff around because it's kind of irritating me. That some things are probably not where they should be. So there you go. This is a better. I think this is a better look for the tier list. I think that more accurately reflects what I'm thinking. Then we have the FAMAS Rapid Eye Movement. Very interesting skin. Nothing like this in the game. Otherwise, somewhat. It's supposed to look creepy, but for some reason when I look at this, I'm not even like creeped out, which is interesting. But yeah, you have some little like galaxy vortex thing here with a bunch of eye panels making up the skin, kind of coming together. The design's interesting, I guess. It's got some nice, 3D on 2D kind of design. But the main thing I like here is just solid color scheme, and it just looks good, right? The colors are really what kind of bring this skin together for me. Design's okay, don't get me wrong, but I really do like the colors here, and I think that alone brings it to the middle B tier. I wouldn't use this myself personally, but I could totally see why people do like the skin or would like the skin. It looks pretty good across the board, and just, yeah. Then we have the FAMAS Roll Cage. This is basically trying to either do what the Survivor, like the zombie surviving skin, or the Strix. Like, this is kind of a mix between the two of those, but it does neither of the things those are doing well. Yeah, this kind of just looks like an inferior version of one of those two. If you like the Roll Cage, you'll probably like the Survivor Z or whatever, or the Strix a lot better. And for that reason, I don't think anyone should really ever use this. Yeah, I mean, the main thing it has going for is like these blood splashes, but I think they were done much better by the other FAMAS. And if you like the, I guess, white on black or whatever, I think the mecha industry, as bad as it is, looks better than this, because this is way too many colors mixed together. This ends up just being like the worst of everything, kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. I wouldn't ever really use this myself. It's probably the only skin out of all these FAMASes that just looks, has every little part of this thing is done better by some other skin. So yeah, for that reason, it's an F tier, even though it's still a decent skin. I would normally probably put this in D tier or something. Then our final one is the FAMAS Commemoration. Just a golden FAMAS. It's got like a globe, like map thing in the front. You have all the different maps: Cache, Mirage, Dust Assault, Office Inferno, Dust 2, Overpass, like the whole like original map collection. I don't know what this design here in the back is, but it looks like kind of the 5 CTs together, with like wings coming off the back, because like the Guardian CT symbol. A nice wooden handle to kind of put things all together. But yeah, it's literally just a golden FAMAS. Looks absolutely beautiful. Probably gonna be my skin of choice. I guess I have to look at the how much money I've lined around. If it's not that, it's definitely gonna be one of the other two in S tier. I think those 3 skins kind of speak to me on a different level. But yeah, that's all the FAMAS skins in CS. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at these skins as much as I did, and I will see you in the next one.